Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no coping. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. This episode of Life's Best Medicine is brought to you by the great people at Simply Snackin'. 10 flavors of beef and chicken, humanely raised, grass-fed beef, free-range chicken. And I'm excited about the 10 flavors because I'm heading off to the jungles of Guatemala on a medical trip, and I can have a new flavor every day and not get bored. I'm going to pack them in my suitcase because they're light and easy, and I could bust them out whenever I need to. So if I get stuck somewhere and everyone's eating terrible food, I could have some healthy, great snacks and still stick to my low-carb lifestyle. So thank you, Simply Snackin', for again sponsoring this episode and for bringing these important stories to the people. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. Today, you're going to get some of Life's Best Medicine. I think we're going to make this into 2 episodes because I don't think we could jam all this stuff into one. Although we do have the host of 9 Minutes to Thrive, who's an awesome guy, Navin Hettiarachchi. Am I saying it right, Navin? I knew I was going to mess it up.
You're pretty close, Brian. Great job. It's Navin Hettiarachchi.
See, I'm not going to get it, man. I can't even say my own last name, but man, Navin, you were such a blessing, man. Your podcast, I'm going through life trying to pick up wisdom, and your podcast, you can do it quicker than me. You do 9 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that, and where people can grab it on the way to work and listen to all these world experts and people, all the way from an Uber driver, right, who used to be a pilot, to the greatest athletes in the world. And so it's amazing. You have such a collection of wisdom and knowledge. And then just talking to you for a couple minutes yesterday, just to make sure this was a good fit for sure. And in 1 second, we knew. And so you talking about, and it's kind of crazy. You came across me by a slide that I put on a talk that I gave, showing a train that was absolutely packed. And you go, I ran after that train to save a seat for my mom. So man, I would love to start there. Tell us what makes you tick in life and how it all started, how you got to be such a great healer. And we'll talk about what you do for sure, but I really want to know who you are.
I think, you know what, if somebody asks me who I am, I want to say I'm here to help others to be the best version of themselves. I'm really found that I'm here to serve others, to help others. So who I am is this guy who grew up in Sri Lanka, who went after that train to help others. And that train story, Brian, is really running after the train before it stopped, is to get on the train so I could save a seat for my mom. And I was telling her that story today as I was telling her that I was about to get on this amazing podcast called Life's Best Medicine. Is coming from a doctor who really looking through a lens of what is the best medicine in life. And I think, I don't want to put any words in your mouth, but I told my mom, I'm like, Dr. Brian is really like me. Best medicine is in between our ears. That's the best medicine. And I'm so excited that I get to be in this amazing podcast and talk to people and share people the same message that we resonate.
Yeah, I think we're so like-minded in that because, you're sharing wisdom that you're grabbing from people and wisdom that you have from your childhood. You're sharing that freely. And you're a healer. I mean, you do chiropractic, adjustments and really getting to the root cause of what you're dealing with. And I think, working with elite athletes in the NBA to the common guy who just wants to, get a little bit healthier. And that's such a great thing that you see the potential in others and you help push them towards their potential. So tell me how you started. How did it, like as a kid, growing up, having to run to save a seat for your mom to catch the train, and anyone who hasn't seen it, and this is what else is crazy, faith in God and all these things. I could not figure out a way in my old job to really explain in a concise way because I'm not a concise guy like you. You can get away with it. You figure stuff out quickly. But I was trying to figure out, like, how do I teach them about the root cause of metabolic health and metabolic disease? And then one day it just came to me. I was just doing devotions one morning and I said, talk about a train. It's like a train getting filled up, but you don't want your train overfilled. But one of the things was that slide. And it's amazing that slide grabbed your attention and brought back things from your childhood and your mom and those things, how we get connected through something you would never think that would connect us.
Absolutely. I think you just kind of said a lot right there. You asked me how I came here. You know what? It just honestly came to me like everything that I see a patient. So last week I was treating this actress, and she was like telling me about her back pain. I'm like, I kind of stopped her and said, you know what? I'm sorry, but this is going to be very woo woo. But for some reason, something's getting to my head, and I want to talk to you about more about breathing, something neck above, and that train really took off, and we found out that was the cause of the really issue. That so this stuff to me honestly comes learning chiropractic in Thailand, or learning osteopathic in Australia, or acupuncture in Ireland. I go there, embedded myself for months and weeks, and this stuff is like drinking water to me, Brian. I cannot just get enough of it, and it's just so easy. I get it. So it's not me. I'm just a medium. So I want to say, hey, somebody else gave me this amazing talent, amazing skill set for me to heal. So I don't want to take any credit, because I'm just put on the right place at the right time. There's no coincidence. Just like the train picture that I saw, and then I connected you. It was meant to be. It's synchronicity. This conversation that we are having is synchronicity. We know that we're gonna resonate with so many people, and we're able to touch so many people to be the best version of themselves. And this honestly getting some medicine through their ears to be the best version of themselves.
So Navin, how did you get that passion like growing up? Because I want to hit all these things, because so much stuff you're saying, I'm just like jumping through my skin. I get excited because I'm seeing the same thing. A lot of times we say it's not just your heartburn, it's not your headache, it's not your neck pain. Let's look why are you having that? This root cause, and that's in your the REDT audit stuff that you do. And I think stepping back and saying, look, I can give you a pill for the inflammation, I can give you a pill for this, I can give you a pill for that, but that's not going to fix the underlying cause. So I really want to talk about that. But really what I want to talk about right now is, okay, growing up in Sri Lanka, how do you go from that to the pinnacle of your all these career paths, right?
Brian, I want to share a quick story before I go back to my childhood. You actually put a little light on my head. This was a coach. The word heartburn, I have a great story for heartburn. Okay, so this was a coach, and that I worked with the Washington Wizards, and he was a nice guy, but he was a lifelong heartburn guy. He was a lifelong Tums guy. Tums on the flight, Tums before the games, Tums everywhere. So we were really good. He was really a good man, and we cleaned up his nutrition. I'm like, hey, that's the root cause, right? Root cause for heartburn is nutrition. We cleaned up the nutrition. He was not 100%. He got up to about 80%, 80 to 90%. And, obviously heartburn should go away. So Brian, the heartburn didn't go away. Okay. Then I'm like, wow, what's happening? Okay. We figuring out the root cause. And all of a sudden, one day I'm watching a game and I click, this coach is so hateful. Even though he's such a nice guy, he's so angry towards the players, the other human beings, the referees. He created heartburn in him.
Yeah.
So we created disease. Like I love, like it's, I don't know why this just kind of came to my mind all of a sudden. Maybe somebody need to hear it. Like we talk about nutrition, we talk about everything else, but for this coach, it's about not hating so much, not getting entangled, not being so vicious. By him being so vicious, even though he's such a loving guy, I just want to give him a hug right now, just thinking about him, because he's that kind. But he created ulcers in his stomach. He created. So that's the story that we could talk later on as well. So for me, growing up in Sri Lanka, I knew I was going to be a cricketer. That's nothing but it. I quit school. I literally I failed second grade. I didn't go to class in second grade because I was practicing cricket. I want to be a cricketer. So I was never really into education because I knew I was going to be a cricketer. So I failed second grade, struggling. I remember I was in like 8th grade and I could like literally can't read second grade level. I remember I had an aunt, and her kid was in maybe like fourth or fifth grade. And one day I was in a house, and she was like, "Hey, let's read," and I couldn't read it. So I was like, "Wow, it's a problem." So my dad, thank God for my dad. My dad came to America, and he found a way to bring our family in. My mom came here. She worked as a nanny for about almost 20 years, and the family sponsored us. Literally, like, family sponsored us. We became citizens. Like, that was just like, wow, we are really American. So I go to college. I actually go to high school. I learned all about English. I learned English through Cosby Show, Full House, all these cartoons, Woody Woodpecker. I'm literally coming home and watching TV just to pick up. So then, obviously nobody has gone to college in my family. My dad is delivering paper, getting up 4 in the morning. My dad is delivering pizza at night. My dad is a embassy driver. He's a chauffeur. So this guy got 3 jobs. My mom is started to deliver paper. My mom's working in a clothing store, babysitting. Like, everybody got 3 jobs. Hey, what that mean? That means I got to get a job. So I work 40 hours while I was going to high school. Saturday and Sunday, I work same restaurant, but work at 2 different locations, put in my 40 hours, chip into the family. And the ultimate goal is to go to college. So got a track scholarship and went to college. So I'm like, done, right? Top of the mountain. I'm here. I achieved it. And they're like, no, 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 no. In college, you have to study. You have to pick a major. So first day in school, they're like, you got to pick a major. I have no idea. I don't even know what a major is. So they give me a list, and I'm like going through the accounting, engineering, mathematics. I'm like, I'm not good at any of this. So I come down to sports medicine. I'm like, sports, I understand sports. I literally click that. All right, so starting school, now I gotta take all this history, sociology. I'm like, I can't get any of this. So I'm struggling. And at the same time, I'm taking sports medicine classes. I cannot stop finishing the book. Like, I cannot stop reading the books. I'm reading from beginning to the end, every single page. I'm like, and it's addictive. I'm like, oh my God, I see what the teacher's talking before the teacher's talking. I am ahead of it. I'm asking questions that we're supposed to be learning in 3 semesters from now. It was like crack cocaine. I couldn't stop learning. So I'm all over the place looking at books. And this is the guy who failed second grade. This is the guy can't read English, can't talk English. I'm like, what is happening to me? So I'm getting all A's in sports medicine, all C's in regular classes. So it was just kind of fun. Then at the same time, since I love it, it's my passion, my work ethic, when it came to my internship, was next level. I mean, I'm talking about, I was the first guy in, last guy out. Was it the cleaning the floor, folding the towels? I was there because I was hooked. I was really hooked on helping people, and I felt like to help people learn more. So I was like learning more to help people. So it's just like it was a good cascade of events. It was fun. I was high on life, and every time I helped somebody, I was like shivering, like through pure joyness of that I was able to help somebody. It could be just anything. I felt the same with the restaurant. I think I was so happy making other people happy in the restaurant, and I was like, I knew it. My purpose in life is to help people. And now in college, my purpose came even more. Now I get to help somebody that was in pain, that they're helpless. So after that, when I came to my senior year, I have been sending resumes to NFL teams for internship. So when I graduated, I had 90 letters of rejection from the NFL saying, "Hey, thank you. We don't have an internship for you. Appreciate you applying." So, that was like a good kind of wake up call. Like, wow, it's going to be tough to get a job. But I looked up Yellow Pages. Back then we had Yellow Pages, and I called every single clinic in Washington, D.C. And this lady said, "Hey, we don't have a job, but why don't you just come?" And that became like a good 10-year relationship, a job that, even though when I worked with the Wizards, I went there to that clinic because she opened the door for me, and I love the patients that she saw. So I worked 2 years with the Redskins. First year is like a true internship, and then second year it became a more of like, some of the players like, hey, I want Navin to travel. I want Navin to be in the road trip. So it just became like a part-time internship. And then after that, how the sports settings are, guys get fired. My head coach was Steve Spurrier. He got fired. My head athletic trainer got fired. I didn't have a job. And even though I worked in the clinic, I didn't have a job in the professional setting. Then I send just like I reached out to you, I sent a letter to the Washington Wizards. They were like, we don't have a job, but you could come in, we'll create something. And that was 2003. I went there without having a job. I worked with the Washington Wizards organization for 17 years. And I would say out of those 17 years, just like you, for 16 years, I never had a job. I never went into work saying it's my work. I went to work saying I get to heal and help somebody. I get to be a brother, a friend, a mentor to somebody. I was very grateful. Our colors was red, white, and blue. Our Washington Wizards colors are red, white, and blue. And our floor, the carpet was red. And every day I'm like, man, I'm so blessed. I get to walk on the red carpet every day. I made sure that no matter if the athlete is a 10-day contract or athlete is making $40 million, that I showed them that, like, look, they have the red carpet for us, and let's enjoy it, and let's be grateful, and let's have fun. So that was my 17 years with the NBA. At that time, I worked 10 years with the WNBA. We were owned by the same organization, same ownership. And then last year, I finally had a job, and I'll talk to you more about it. My 17th year in the NBA, my organization changed. So finally had a job, and, there's no coincidence in life. Everything's a lesson. And, people came into my life and they taught me a lot of lessons, and they showed me and taught me stuff. Either way you want to say it, you could say positive or negative. I took it as a very positive lesson. And I resigned from my job after 17 years. And now I'm even at a better place. So that's my quick story of my journey as a profession.
Man, I love it. I love it because you didn't even have anything guaranteed to you. You go, I'm gonna keep opening that door, because like earlier you said something like, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, but you had to take those steps to get out those tools to be able to help other people. Because if you don't put in the work and you don't put in have that drive that you saw from your mom and your dad working hard and appreciating that, because a lot of people don't, my parents are dumb, whatever. But they don't realize dad busted his butt to give me an opportunity better than he had. And mom worked hard, and they gave you good morals and values and all those kind of things. And we see now like broken families and people who just don't connect. And you see what happens when they go off to the world, because no one taught them, hey, work hard, be there early. Like I couldn't log in because you were here before me today trying to, I'm trying to log in. I couldn't because you're already in my own podcast, right? So it just shows you're going to show up early, you get the work done. And you had the faith that you go walk in and go, okay, I'll work hard. Even though I don't have a job now, one will be provided if I work hard enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Brandon, you always call, God. I'm Buddhist. I call the universe, and we're just knocking on the door, and the right door at the right time is going to open, and it's just magical. And as in human beings, our job is to put one step forward and just continue in our journey. This is one of my mentors said, we are spiritual beings in a rental car. We are spiritual beings living in a human body and having a human experience. So let's enjoy this. Like, it's a journey. Let's enjoy it. It's kind of like we are climbing Mount Everest. I tell this story to basketball players. So in all my 17 years, I probably have told this over 170 times. I tell basketball players, they're grinding. They have their head down and grinding, but they're forgetting to enjoy this journey, right? They're going to Mount Everest. They're in the NBA. They're going to the Mount Everest. I know it's tough. It's cold. It's freezing. It's tough. But if you look around every day, it's so beautiful. You get to interact with people. You get to be in this journey. You get to be in this special journey. No, not that many people could climb this Mount Everest. Not that many people could be in the NBA. Like, let's enjoy it. When you enjoy it, that cold, that climb, it's not hard at all because you're having fun. And that's what life is about. Life is about connecting each other, helping each other. honestly, for me, the more that I help, I feel like my life is even like getting so much better. Like my cup is so full, but without even me putting anything in there, it's by helping others. So I get to even help more. So I think if we put other people first, it's just so much better, so much high on life.
Yeah, I think that's the secret, man. Everyone I talk to here, Jason Fung, Sean Baker, all these guys are different areas, but all of them say, I love helping people. I love to see someone's before and after picture, or someone who all of a sudden is enjoying life and what you're doing. And that's why your story is so important. That's why I was so excited to have you on, because you've come from, being very poor and having to earn everything and work so hard, and you're working with guys who, because they have a natural talent sometimes, or hard work ethic, a lot of times they're combined, but to have everything and not enjoy it. And you're looking at the red carpet every day, I'm walking on the red carpet. These guys don't see it that way. They have a different perspective on life, and that's a huge deal. But the happiest people I see in life are the ones who help other people. And it's so, what I noticed, man, and you're gonna say, like, when we did Low Carb MD podcast, these guys are going, they're doing it for the money. It's like, well, first of all, we don't have a sponsor. Second of all, it's costing me money to do the podcast because I want to help people. I want to get the story out, but they don't think that way. They don't think in those terms, right? When I started this podcast, I was funding it because I believe in it. And if I don't start this podcast, I'm not talking, we never cross paths, right? And that's the craziest thing when you realize, like, man, it is insane knocking on the door and the door's open. I'm shocked. I'm like telling my wife, honey, the door opened that I wasn't, should I go through that door? What do you think? Because, like, these doors open that you never would anticipate happening, so I think it's just so awesome. You had a passion because you loved it and you saw the what you could do to help other people. It wasn't like, oh, I can make a ton of money doing this. The motivation was different, I think.
Yep. And the money, like me and my wife, we so believe in money comes when you, I don't want to say align, but money comes when you are doing something good. When you are helping others, the money comes. So something that we don't even really worry any time in our life, because we know, we surrender, we trust, and we know the money comes. So now I'm getting phone calls from people like, hey, can you come and work with me in LA for 5 days or Chicago for 12 days? Like people that like 3 people away. I'm like, hey, like it's universe taking care of you, because you're here as a middleman to help the universe take care of its people.
Well, and you have a skill set that's valuable. And not only that, you have a skill set, but you have a passion and you love people. Like, you can't manufacture that. I just spoke to some med students, and you could see who really loves people and really wants to interact, and other people go, yeah, I'll make good money, I'll be secure. I mean, it's a different mindset, and I think that's really hard. I would rather have someone who's teachable, that gets it and loves people, than someone who's brilliant that doesn't love people. If that makes sense. As being a healer, it's very difficult when you don't connect. It's that connection. It's not the intellectual knowledge. It's that connection on a spiritual level, on a emotional level, whatever it is. And I think that's what you have that sets you apart from other people.
True. Very true.
Yeah. So tell me about life, man. Tell me what other wisdom you picked up, like, along these ways. And really, what I would love to hear about is some people, you don't have to mention names, but how you were treated great by people and that you wouldn't expect, and some people that were, that maybe treated you poorly, so, hey, take advantage of you or kind of push you around or things like that. Did that happen, or were generally people kind to you?
You know what? To be honest with you, people are so kind to me. The people that I attract, the people that come to my life is you. People like you. And people always ask me, like, why is no one ever mad at you? Why is no one ever hates you? I'm like, well, a couple of things. If they do, I really can't control it, right? You talked about someone that was in your podcast talked about, Jesus had million haters and Jesus had million people who loved it. Buddha had billion people hated it. Buddha had billion people who hated it. So if Jesus and Buddha have all these people love and hate, who are we, right? It doesn't matter. So I just go about being the best person I am. And Brian, just like how you came into my life, the people that come into my life, the players that I get to work with. So, in a basketball team, there's 15 players. Obviously, I put my hands on about 8 or 10 players. So some days or most days, I don't get to work with those 4 players. And the people that I get to work with is just amazing human beings. And when people ask me why is that, I almost think in my mind is that what we put out is the boomerang effect. It just comes straight back to you, So if I'm treating somebody with kind, caring, love, and like you said, just about I want to give selfless giving. I feel like it's just same thing comes back. And if somebody get on my train by mistake, either they get off of it because they're like, oh my God, I don't like this energy. I don't like this like too good, too bright. They get off my train, or they're like, wow, this train is nice, comfortable. I'm going to introduce my mom, my sister to this guy. Brian, like the reason that I told you is that right now, my wife is always laughing. So I'm traveling, even though I don't work for the NBA, like I'm traveling right now, taking care of, people. And when I go, I'm like, say if I'm in Chicago, somebody, former player would call and say, hey, I saw you that you're in Chicago. My mom's friend is there. Do you mind going to their house and taking a look at it? Or I mean, like I'm in LA. They're like, hey, do you mind? My wife's friend's son, they got a problem. Do you mind? I'm like, oh my God, like that, that, right? That's the treat. If they want me to see their mom and the son and the kid, like, what? How blessed are we? We just got a WhatsApp app from a player who's been an all-star, who's been in 9 teams, no, not 9 teams, like 5 teams or something, and his kid has a foot problem, and he messaged me. So I told my wife, I'm like, this guy is one of the best of all time. The fact that he's asking me and he wanted to talk to me about his son, I don't know, like I almost feel like I need to fly there in my own pocket and take care. Like that's how good I felt. So honestly, Brian, no, like it just people treat me so nicely, so caring, so loving. I'm like, wow, so grateful, so grateful. And I think it's the boomerang.
Well, and I think that boomerang, and it's like all religion, and this is what's hard for me is so many people on the outside, because I found that if I talked about faith, I'm not talking just about my faith. I'm just talking about people like you who have faith. We have different faiths maybe, but I think what we find is that most of us have way more in common. Like when I was listening to interview the Muslim guy, one of my best friends in the world is Muslim. We grew up since played football together in high school, and we're like brothers. It doesn't matter. And we so tell me why you believe this, why do you believe that, and you pick up great things from all religions, right? We all get the golden rule or whatever we want to call it, reap what you sow. All those things are out there, but I see there's such when someone says like, all religions are bad, it's like, it's the people maybe who don't get what the religion is telling them, or they just don't interact, or they don't reflect what they're supposed to be reflecting. And I think like what you're talking about is you reflect like in a mirror. If you're grumpy and mean and nasty, then people are grumpy and mean and nasty back to you. They reflect you. So I think a lot of people don't get that picture. And that's a big reason I did this podcast. That's why I'm so excited to have you, because you're looking at it in this, we're saying the same thing. It's like, do we want to be each other's neighbors? Of course we do. Because I would take in your garbage cans if you were out of town, or I would watch over your wife and kids, and you would do the same for me. So I think people don't realize that religion doesn't have to divide, and everyone wants to divide each other down by, you can say, well, I'm from Africa. Well, what part of Africa? Oh, I don't like that part of it. Whatever. You're South African. So I think it's all those kind of things where people, it just seems like so many people are divided more so than they're brought together.
Yep. So something that me and my wife always talk about is it's words. What every time we say a word that we know it's a boomerang, it's going to come back. Also, the word is coming because what's happening inside. We kind of call it like, what is it getting squeezed? If you're flower inside, if you're getting squeezed, you're going to give out honey. If you have lemon, you're going to give lemonade, right? Like why is it coming on? So when I hear somebody saying, oh, I don't like that, or that's so bad, or honking the horn, like they're getting squeezed, So if a thought come to us, or my wife or something, we say something, we always keep each other accountable. Like, why? Like, okay, how does that pertain to you? Is it the news, or that person? Is somebody come and honk you? Like, okay, that person, let's get out of the way and let that person go. Like, it doesn't pertain to us. It doesn't matter to us a minute from now, 2 minutes from now, 3 months from now. It doesn't matter to us. So let's live our journey. Let's climb our train. Let's go on our train and just be the best version of ourselves. not about anybody else. Let's be the best version of ourselves and let's go on our journey.
Yeah, it's like that. You see people driving 55 in the fast lane, other people want to drive 90 in the fast lane. Then they both get mad at each other. Like one guy says, "Why is he going so fast?" The other guy said, "Why is he going so slow?" Just move over one lane, let the guy go. Go on with your life. And I've seen that where people are upset in the afternoon. I said, "What's wrong?" Someone cut me off this morning on the way to work. I was like, "This morning on the way to work?" And now it's nighttime and you're so upset. The guy has no idea who you are and the guy's living his life and you're still mad all day. Seriously? Like, let it go. Like, that's grace, faith, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, so many people, like you said, the coach hold on to all this anger and resentment and it destroys your own, it's like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Right. So I think that's, I think so.
Brian,
yeah.
If you held on, if you're still angry about some guy cutting you off this morning, what else in your life are you doing that? You know what I mean? You're walking around holding on that just little honk. If you even remember that little honk, like we need to look back in life and say, hey, why? Like, why is my life, why is not all this stuff coming to me? Because I have even heard that you saying that when we are quiet, they're getting all these downloads coming. To be quiet, that means we cannot worry about the honk in the horn. We cannot worry about the cuss words in the music. We cannot worry about what's going on news. We just got to be quiet so our higher power, our universe, our God could give us all this stuff to help us, also for us to help others. In order to do that, we got to be in a higher frequency, not low. Yeah. So before the game, I have one of my favorite players. We do a high five like over the head, and that's like flying above, because this guy, he was playing, not playing, so he got a lot of like highs and lows. So I'm like, so I give him a high five, like the plane flies above. So I told him every game, fly high. It doesn't matter. Don't get stuck in this rut of mud. Be the lotus flower. Come from the dirt and shine just like the planes. Go above. You hear that. I don't know if it's true or not, but you hear that eagles. Eagles when they're flying low. Crow will come and get on them and like bother them, right? They like peck on the eagle. So eagle doesn't even do anything. Eagle just go really high and crow just falls down. I think that's life, Brian. I think
that's wisdom, man. You don't go down to that level. You stay at your level. Yes. And the crows forget about you because they're gonna fight. They're gonna find some other person to pick on after a while, right? Just fly above the crows. I think that's good, right?
Exactly. Flying high. I'm gonna send you a picture. Somebody screenshotted of me giving a high five with this player, and it's like what is this? Like, why is your hand so high? I was like, because we are flying high. We are flying away from all this toxicity, all this mud, rud, and we are better than that. Then that's the only way to stay healthy. Like, that's the only way to stay away from this heartburn.
Yeah, and not be angry and stressed. And I think, gosh, it's bothering me. You interviewed one guy. He has a bunch of restaurants now, NBA player, and you were talking about
Chris Humphries.
Yeah, Chris Humphries. Yeah. And it was a great, I love the interview because he was saying like, look, I came in to be the star. I was the greatest player in my high school and all this stuff. And he gets there and he's like not playing and he's sitting there and not being the hero and they go, you have to play your role. And I think so many of us miss out that that's our role, right? Your role is not to be the guy who makes the slam dunks. You're the fix the guy and allow him to do that. And so I think when you understand that and you get the right mindset of saying, okay, this is my role, maybe I'll step into a different role, but right now, this is my role I have to step into.
Yep. I love it. I think, my mentor, Jim Forden said that right now, this is exactly where I need to be, where I'm supposed to be. This is a part of my journey. I'm here to evolve and grow. This conversation, this moment, it's me growing as a human being. This moment is helping me evolve as a person and grow so I could continue on my journey.
Yeah, and you pick up like you did with all your different talents you have. Now you have all those talents, right? Because you took the steps to learn and sacrifice, spending time with your wife and whatever, watching TV or whatever it might be, to say, I know I can help. And when you're like, that's what excites me about you is you got motivated saying this isn't work because I love it. Like what I do now is not work. I love what I'm doing. I love helping people. I love trying to get in the brain. Like we do the same thing. That's why we love each other that way, right away. because you know a healer and you know someone who says, I want to help people, I want to do the right thing. And it's hard not to be drawn to those people, right? And so I think there's a lot of again, I think it's hard for people outside to really understand that when you love it, you just love what you do, because a vast majority, we're so blessed to do what we love to do, because a vast majority of people are going to work because I have to work to pay the bills. It pays the bills. Like I hear that all the time. Like, and then the other thing that I love about you, and I know you're gonna identify with this. When I see people that have the heartburn, that have the headaches, that have gained a bunch of weight, and I ask them, "Hey, where do you find your peace, or what do you love?" And they're like, they don't have an answer. They don't know. It's not like collecting rides. Some people, I pick up the guitar and I play, or I paint a picture. But some people, they have not. They work, they go home, watch TV, go to bed, wake up next day, the same thing over and over, and they're not passionate like you are. You're like, I have to stay for 20 hours because I love it. It's not studying, it's fun, right?
They don't know now if I'm going to be 45 years this year, and if somebody asks me a question that you kind of asked somebody else in the podcast as well, what's your number one value? I'm going to say inner peace. You know, it's really inner peace. It's being in a place where not yesterday bothered me, not tomorrow bothers me. Being in a place of happiness, content, like just joy, like you actually feel like you could fly, you're like elevated, you know. And that's inner peace, and that's where I'm at. And that's something that I learned last year. You know, I said that I worked with this was 17 years, but out of those 16, I didn't have a job. But that means I had a job my last year. Those people that came to my life, they rattled my inner peace, and you know, everything happened to us so we could learn from that experience. And that year, I really learned how valuable inner peace is, how priceless inner peace is. If you don't have inner peace, you just can't do anything. And that means you are not being your best medicine. You are not giving yourself best medicine. And that means 99% of the people, or 90% of those people in the world, is walking around not having inner peace. And Brian, you and I in the same journey. You're traveling to countries that doesn't have anything to give. I go to Tanzania, Zanzibar, and all these countries to give and show them like you do have everything that you need to be the life's best medicine, to have the best medicine in yourself. And that's within us. We have it. You know, we were given everything that we needed.
Yeah, that's the shocker is as an American, I grew up, not, not rich, not poor, but kind of middle class type thing. But no doctors in the history of my family. The only reason I became a doctor, I'm like you, it's funny, we could have crossed paths, right? Because when I was in college, I was studying hard, getting A's, doing well. And then I was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I think it's sports medicine. I like sports. I played sports in high school. Maybe I'll do something along those lines because I like helping people, like the same thing, physical therapy, kind of something like what you're doing, right? And then my buddy who's gonna be he's a dentist now. He was gonna be a dentist at the time. He said, hey, there's a trip going to Mexico. There's doctors. I'm like, oh no, I'm not interested in doctors. I don't like doctors. It'll be like weird. And they're like, just go. And so I went. These guys were humble and nice, and they happened to go to USC where I ended up going, but they just were so kind and decent. They love people. I was like, man, I could do this. This is cool, man. I got the grades. I'll do this, right? So that led me on that journey, and then I met great people who were supportive and help open doors, or put in a good word for me, or whatever happens. But it's very surprising how our path. We don't even know our paths. You just take a step, and then you take another step, and then you take another step, and you end up where you're supposed to be. So when you say, going back to that, you worked 16 years, you weren't paid for 16 years?
No, I said that was
Or it became a job?
No, yeah. So for the 16 years that I worked, I got paid really well, and that's great. But I never had a job. Like I just literally went there. That's what I would do if nobody paid me, and that was the best part about it.
And then it became a job because they were putting too much pressure on you, and it changed. The
Well,
dynamic
yeah,
changed. I see what you're saying.
because of the new coworkers that I got. Then it became the new structure, new coworkers. Then it became a job. I think everything in life is happened for us to teach. I could have been like, oh my God, this is miserable. I was like, no, I'm like, thank you. Like you literally, if those people didn't come to my life, I would be doing something. I want to say I still will be in quote unquote I still will be in high school, right? I almost feel like now me leaving the MBA, I feel like I'm done with middle school, I'm done with high school, I'm going on to my next journey. And if those people didn't come to me in my life and did what they did, I still would be in in a lower level, maybe. I don't know. Like I don't want to say anything negative, but I might be still inside a box where now my life is like outside the box. And I'm so grateful that those people came into my life and nudged me. And I'm very appreciative and that, everybody come into our life for a reason to teach us something, either good or bad, or however you want to take it. There's no such a thing as a bad. Everything is a lesson. And so that's like, I'm very grateful that they came into my life and perfect timing.
Yeah, is that crazy? I mean, this whole thing too, like perfect timing. Tro with the podcast said, Brian, why are you killing yourself with that job? And it was a job at the end. It started to become a job, and we were like, you and I are the same mindset. Once it becomes a job, I don't want to do a job. I want to have a calling. And I realized I couldn't be effective in helping people when I couldn't use all the tools I was given. Right. So it's really amazing. Like we were both 17 years into a job and we both said, okay. And I had financial security the rest of my life after struggling financially with, you know, med school loans and all that kind of stuff all these years. And then it was time to walk away. And I knew it was. And I don't know, I think it was a God thing too. Right. So what made you say, I'm going to change course? Did you sit down with your wife and go, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, or was she encouraging you to leave, or how are the dynamics of that? I'm just curious of how it worked for you.
So we've been kind of doing a little transformational coaching program with a guy named Jim Forden. So we've been kind of like evolving and growing, and we just saw so much toxicity, and she just kind of saw that it's becoming a job, and it's becoming a job like everybody else. Like you're just like, oh, it's another road trip, oh, it's another game. And so I knew it's time. You kind of knew when it's not becoming fun, and when you want to come home early, like, and go work a little late. It's not it. I'm usually literally the first guy opening the building, last guy to leave. And when I wasn't doing that subconsciously because I didn't want to be around, I knew it was the time. And just like you mentioned that it was right around the Kobe's death, and it was right around his death. We were in
That's crazy. The same thing.
yeah, same
Wow,
thing.
same
We
time and
were
same thing. That's
yeah, same
incredible.
thing. We were
That's the
actually
same thing that happened to me, man. Kobe. Yeah,
yeah,
that whole thing.
we were like in Portland. I remember I was wearing Kobe's shoe. I was sitting on the bench. I have a great picture of that. I think it was Portland or Sacramento somewhere. And those were the days. I kind of gave my goodbyes to my head coach, my general manager, and then we went to the bubble in Orlando. We were there for 30 days, so I got to really say goodbye to everybody in my team, my coworkers, all the players, all my coworkers on the other teams on the NBA, and just it was really like such a goodbye. And they asked me why, and I just said, it's time for me to graduate. I'm done, and I'm moving on to my next journey, and my next journey is going to be even better. So I kind of told you that the other day. I think working and helping 15 millionaire athletes are great, but I want to be like you, Brian. I want to help 15 million people. That's really my ultimate goal, to help them to be life's best medicine. What can we do? What can we do for that person, that one individual person? So now my life is that these people come into my life. It could be a supermodel this week, an actress, a secret service detail person, a 7-year-old soccer player. All these people just come into my life, and I'm like, hey, let's do it. Like, I treat them like they're the only person that I'm going to live and help and take care of, because nothing's guaranteed tomorrow, right? And it's just been amazing. It's just been so rewarding, so grateful for this new life that I had.
Yeah, that's great. And you're meeting different people and different walks of life, different areas. And so what do you see in people that you work with that aren't happy or are happy? What do you see? What do you think the difference is between those people? Meaning,
Yeah.
let me rephrase that. So basically, you see some actress who's a multimillionaire who's doing all this stuff and kind of miserable. You see they're drinking too much, they're not taking care of themselves, and they get to this pinnacle of where they should be happy and they're not happy, and they're trying to fill it with something all the time.
You said it. That's the key word. Something all the time. They're trying to fill it. they're trying to look around, but they're forgetting the person in front of the mirror. You know, that's all they gotta do is look, instead of looking outside, just looking inside. You have everything that you need and take care of that person, but they are trying to take care of that person through shoes, house, cars, food, and that's actually going in that hamster wheel of cascade of bad. Instead of they're trying to, instead of listening and hearing the true word or that true authentic person that's inside. And to be happy is really state of being happy, and only one person could do that, and that's that person, you know. So the other day I was just talking to one of my clients' wife, and when I was there, I was just amazed by how busy she was. Like literally a machine. I was just like, wow. Um, and I was just kind of like had a conversation, and it was just kind of a synchronicity conversation. All of a sudden, no one was in the kitchen. Me and her. I'm like, what? Like it was just like spotlight went on, and it was like it was meant to be. So I actually started the conversation. I'm like, it was just meant to be that you and I here, and I see you working like around the clock. You messaging me like all the time, which is love and care. But I see you, that means you're not sleeping. Like, how are you? And it was just, just figuring out like you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta fill your own cup, so then you can fill others. When you try to fill others with the empty cup, and that's when things come about, right? That's when the heartburn, the ulcer, oh, that's when you start gravitating to that ice cream or the chips or the cookie or whatever. You're trying to fill with man-made stuff instead of really authentic food or authentic human being stuff.
Man, we're just saying the same stuff, man. And when I hear you talk, I get goosebumps because that's exactly it. What are you trying to fill that with? Where do you find your joy? Where do you find your peace? And that's why it's so awesome to have you on this podcast, man, because you embody what I'm talking about. It's like saying, hey, look, it's not just about, so many of us are worried about what other people think. What kind of car do we have? How do we look on the outside? How do I have six pack abs? Those kind of things, and not really value what's critically important. That inner peace that you're talking about. That's when I talk about faith, because and one thing that I would say too is there's a difference between having happiness and having joy, right? Joy is like, okay, it's a bad day, but okay, it's gonna be better than tomorrow. Because happiness is predicated on, to be happy, I'm happy because I got my way. I got the new car, I'm happy. And then they realize I'm not happy, because joy comes from having nothing. Like for me, one of my greatest times, I was in El Salvador at that point with my youngest daughter. And actually, it was my oldest daughter. And so we were there. I usually rotate trips and take them with me so that they can see life. And so we're going through this town, and they had a can that they wrap in duct tape and put a shirt on there, and they make a soccer ball, and they're out there playing. And I brought a bunch of soccer balls. So we get the smallest kid in the neighborhood. We hand him the soccer ball. We walked through the town, and he was so happy, man. He was like this joy he had. And then afterwards we went and played, and we, played soccer and sprinted and did fun games, and then came back, and it was just spur of the moment. Then nothing was planned. And we come back, and the guys happened to have some candy and stuff for the kids and coloring books. And these kids were like, they won the lotto. They were so happy. It was just such a joyful time. I have pictures of it. And it's just, I get joy whenever I see that. But then we got back to the hotel, which was a nice hotel in the setting of El Salvador. And this guy was complaining. He was from England. Oh, you believe it? The showers weren't hot enough. You believe that? And my buddy looked at me and goes, who do you think is better off, the kids or this guy who has everything and he's never satisfied? Right. And I think that's what I was thinking about you. You must have seen that in these NBA athletes. And it's hard. I really want to, we're going to we're going to split this up into another one, because I really want to get into that mindset. But I know you got something to say right now, man.
You went to El Salvador. I gone to, not even Sri Lanka. Think about Tanzania. We were there, and we saw the same thing. Like kids were happy. Maasai kids were happy. They really only had three things in their life, right? They got dirt to make the house. They got stick from the forest, and they got sheepskin to kind of put it as a sheet in their house. Brian, these kids were laughing and happy. It was unbelievable. They literally playing around in mud and stick, and it was so amazing. By the way, just want to geek out with doctor stuff. Their teeth, the whiteness of their teeth. I was like, what? I mean, it was like color of the paint, white paint. At the same time, you could see there were two colors. Okay, one population had the color of the white paint, and the one population had the color of the yellow sheet. So then I'm like, what is going on? Obviously we are like very observant. Like, what is going on? Then I come to find out, people had the brown. Those are the village people that we went to the village to work, and they would eat candy, sugar. And people had all white. Those are the generally Maasai, true Maasai warriors that stayed in the jungle. So that was very interesting to see the very night and day clearly saying what the food will do to you.
Oh yeah, that will be a teaser for our second hour, man, because I really want people to know that when I do medical trips in Guatemala, we would do 3 or 4 clinics. The first clinic would be way out in the country. Second one would be like in the suburbs. The third would be in the inner cities. So we're packing all of our stuff to split it evenly between the 3 clinics, so we won't have to take it all with us. And so my buddy looked at me, he's like, Brian, why are we taking all the diabetes stuff and hypertension stuff to the country? I said, what do you mean? He goes, we never use it there. Have you ever used it there? And I was like, no, I haven't actually. Like, I wasn't even thinking about that. But he said, yeah, the closer we get to the city, that's when they have access to the sodas and the fast food and all that kind of stuff. And we see that in America too, in the inner cities, right? Because you get 3 hamburgers for $1, and a Coke for 8 cents or whatever they do. So you realize, oh my goodness, there's an incentive for people to eat poorly and to be sick. And now they're entrenching with, you can get soda cheaper in Mexico than you can get water. Like, let that sink in. All the other stuff added, because they get water rights way more than the people who are actually getting water for the people. So then we see an explosion of diabetes and hypertension and obesity and all this stuff, spreading out from the inner city farther. But the people in the country generally don't have access. They're working hard. They're killing their chicken. They're eating their real food. They're not eating processed stuff because they can't afford to do that, right? So yeah, it's awesome. And I think our life experiences of being out there and doing it, you see it and you say, well, I can't deny that. It's just what you see. And like what you're talking about with the teeth being very poor in areas like that, where they have access to the sugar and the sweets and everything. And the other kids, they're too poor to have toothbrush and their teeth are perfect.
Yeah, exactly. We actually, I asked one of the Maasai, I'm like, there's no way, like, your teeth, like, what are you doing? He's like, no, this is so. He's like, so finally he got tired of me. He took me. He went to the tree and picked up one of the ones that they use the stick to as a toothbrush. I'm like, listen, this is the only thing that I do for my teeth. And he brushed it with the toothpicker, and that's it. It was kind of funny.
Man, I want to hear more about this stuff. And I knew everyone would love this. I knew an hour was not going to be enough. I've never had a guest on for 2 hours, but I think we need to split it up into 2. And then you have to teach me how to do all this stuff in 9 minutes like you do, which is awesome. But man, I'm loving this. I knew it was going to be awesome. So I greatly appreciate you joining me. So let's sign off here. And this is a teaser. Next, we're going to do this in 1 week. We're going to have the Navin week, right? So everyone, thank you for listening. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Thank you for listening, for your valuable time coming and listening to this podcast. But there's huge, I'm getting so much. I'm loving this for sure. So we're going to sign out now. And then probably in 2 days, you're going to hear us again, pick this back up, because this is so awesome. But I can't do 2 hours of podcast because you guys are going to lose your mind. So thank you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information. And hopefully this helps you. Have a great day. And thank you for listening. And thank you for your support.